Squad, everything about it, spoilers, we're gonna get into it. I cannot believe this movie. It was awesome. Bryan, hit that music. Let's do this. From 12920 Philadelphia Street, Whittier, California, in the heart of Uptown Whittier, keeping up with the nerds. Presents. Why did I say presents? Anyway, issue 60.
59.
It's not 59.
It
we
is
did 59 last time.
No, that was 58.
That's bullshit.
Oh my God! Why did you cut?
Just because you questioned it.
You forced me down this road.
Hold on.
So should we start over?
No,
We're going for it. Like,
what's your name?
We'll figure it out at the end. What? True
My name
numbers
is
this
Nick Valero,
This is Bryan.
Rene.
and welcome to the show. You liar! You are a liar.
What do you mean? I'm the one that numbers it.
That's true.
I would know.
59?
Yes, it's 59.
Is it 59?
I thought you were gonna say 69. I'm like, we're not like
Honestly,
11 episodes ahead.
Honestly, I was guessing again.
You were off by like
And
one.
I was off by one.
Hey, that's fine.
I was like, last time we did it was like 58, 59. Should be like 60.
It should be 60. It
Yeah,
should be fine.
It should be 60. All right.
Nah, it's fine. I forgive you. It makes for good intros.
Thank you.
Yeah, our intros are chaotic anyways. We got some.
Right.
Last week, Rene just chose violence.
What do you mean last week? He yelled at me for like 5 minutes while yelling at you. Just yelling at you and then just basically telling me not to get involved.
That's right.
That's true.
I'm back. Show's going to be better. Don't you worry, guys. And we're like, all right, sure, whatever.
So this
Rene
issue
chose-
is 59. This issue is 59.
Told you.
All right, well, sometimes Brian's wrong. Today just happened not to be at one.
Not this time, buddy.
Today, Bryan just happened not to be there. Also, 2 seconds.
Why?
No, it's good. It's good. It's fine.
Did it stop recording?
Yeah, he's angling it.
No.
You might not want to rotate that.
Also, I have to stop this.
Why?
Did you not put it on airplane mode?
No, it's.
What'd you do?
Huh?
Did you stop? Did you record again?
Yeah, I stopped.
Okay, well, I got to do a clap sync. Here we go.
Because when it closed, it didn't do the wide.
Oh.
So I was only getting Renee's temple.
I wasn't even in it.
Renee's
So for the
talking.
most part, it's just me,
Yeah, it's
like
just you.
cropped out of the whole thing.
So basically, it's just your face, real close, and Renee's temple. As he talked, I looked up and went.
He's
Oh, that's
sabotaging
wrong.
your appearance
He
now.
is, yeah.
I
yelled at
literally
him.
looked up and
Right.
went, "Oh, that's wrong."
That's not right.
All right, we got a full packed issue here. We got to just jump straight into it
Yeah,
at this
because
point.
there's no time for.
Yeah,
There's none because we just came back from watching The Suicide Squad.
that was my third time watching it.
You watched it twice already?
Yeah,
What time did you watch it technically this morning?
I watched it at 4:00 yesterday.
4 o'clock in the morning?
4:00 in the afternoon.
Wait, released yesterday at 4?
Yeah,
Did
released
you not?
7
I
released at
messaged you
7
guys
PM.
what it got released last night.
It released yesterday afternoon.
What?
Yeah, like 4 p.m. It released 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
Oh, so they did an early release then.
They did a super early release.
I
I watched it at 4 when it came out. And
I
then,
got a notification on my phone from HBO Max that says watch Suicide Squad
Right.
in theaters and on HBO Max now. And I'm like,
I saw that notification, but I chose to ignore it.
so I
So I
pressed
didn't-
it. I was curious and I pressed it, and then on my it was on my phone, and the movie started playing. I was like, oh my God. I was like, this is the movie. I was like, wait, hold on.
Yeah,
Like,
so I finished. So I started watching it there, and then my brother came home, and he was just like, hey, do you want to watch Suicide Squad? And I go, I already watched it. And he goes, so you want to watch it or what? And
I'm like that.
Hey, why not?
That doesn't matter.
that doesn't answer my question, Nick.
You didn't answer my question. Do you want to watch it? Yes or no?
Sure, I guess if you're really pulling my arm here.
You know what the funny thing is that I've watched it 3 times and I was catching stuff on the 3rd time that I didn't see the first 2 times.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, that's kind of sick.
Yeah.
Like that was really cool.
I think you said because we watched it today together. We agreed that we were going to watch it today after you were done with the store.
Right.
So that meant, we basically watched it at 7 and now we're recording like a super late show because of course.
Yeah, we got energy drinks to make sure.
Oh yeah, because you're kind of tired, man. I mean, you had a full day of work.
Yeah.
And then
we all had a full day.
had a day of work. Yeah.
Then you had you watched it 3 times. You came over probably like a good third into the movie already.
You guys were like 30 minutes in.
30 minutes. And then you were
barely,
saying that the thing that you didn't catch, because I usually watch, I know people are going to hate me for this, but I usually watch movies and TV shows with subtitles on. And the only reason why is because it's like, I pay too much attention visually to a lot of different things.
Right.
Sometimes voices kind of mesh together and I kind of miss what certain things are said.
Right.
So subtitles for me help me out.
Right.
And you were saying that one of the things that you missed in your viewings was Pissmaker.
I didn't realize that Bloodsport was calling Peacemaker Pissmaker. I did not realize that because with his accent, it really does sound like Peacemaker.
Yeah.
It really does sound like it. So I was just like, okay, he keeps on calling him Peacemaker. But in reality, he's calling him Pissmaker. And I was like, oh, that's funny.
I was glad that they let Idris Elba use his accent in here.
Well, how else can he act though?
He always
Idris Elba.
He does like an American accent.
What was what movie was he in that he did an American accent in?
The Losers.
He did the Losers.
Takers.
Takers. Yeah.
Yeah,
he's done it in a couple.
Every
movies.
other blockbuster movie he's
I
done.
feel like Idris Elba is just like he kind of plays the same person in most of his movies.
Yes.
Except it's his mood that changes.
Yeah.
Like in certain movies, he's a little more like up and cheery and kind of like.
I remember it was like before he was doing, I think like Prometheus and stuff. Well, before he did Prometheus, he was like, I'm tired of doing action films, or blockbuster movies. He wishes he can do like a more serious, like Oscar-worthy roles, but yet. After he said that, he was still doing like action
wherever
and
the
stuff.
money's at, he's gonna go.
Honestly, I mean, you could always aspire to like not like to go like, oh well, I want to go for like more meaningful roles, but then somebody writes you a check for like $100 million, and they're like, I'll be in this movie, and you go, all right,
sure, why not? Money talks.
Yeah, money talks. Money will take you a long way. But my big thing is that I wanted to talk about, especially in this movie, the characters.
Yes, and there's a lot to talk about. So this entire issue is going to be dedicated to Suicide Squad.
But I really wanted to talk about.
Warning: you said it at the intro.
I did.
Spoiler heavy issue. So if you have not seen it, technically this movie came out like 5 days, 6 days.
It's been about a week.
Yeah, almost a week.
It's been about
so
a week,
if you haven't seen it yet, spoilers, because we're going to be spoiling this movie heavily.
Yes. But if you haven't seen it, go watch it. Honestly, I wouldn't mind going to go see this movie again in the movie theater.
It's pretty good. Not pretty good. It was great.
It was really good.
Really good movie.
But I do want to see it in the movie theater because I feel like, especially if you go to like maybe like an IMAX movie or anything like that,
yeah.
especially like some of those scenes would just like pop.
Yeah.
Because and not only that, but also I feel like when we're watching it on TV, there's things that we're missing in the background because it's like it's so small and everything else. And if we were to watch it like on a big screen and you were actually looking at like the background, you might see newer things.
Yeah.
But my big thing is that I wanted to talk, but like I said, the characters.
Okay.
Because there's so many characters in this movie. This is like the most characters ever in a DC movie.
So when it was announced at the Fandom last year,
DC Fandom, yeah.
Was it last year or was it 2 years ago?
2 years ago.
That was 2
No,
years.
no. It was the last year because it was
last
it was in the middle. It was right when the pandemic started.
Yes.
Okay, so when it was announced last
They
year,
were filming it 2 years ago.
they did this entire
started
montage of like all the characters that they were going to bring in
Right.
and the actors that were going to portray them.
Yes.
And it was super unique because, like, at least for me, the way this movie was advertised was you're going to have a massive pile of just villains in this movie and no one's safe from death.
Yeah.
Yes.
You get to this movie, that gets thrown out the window immediately. Certain characters you think are going to be frontline, front members that are going to be in this movie completely 100% are not.
Right.
Yeah. So like Weasel is one of those characters that was kind of like put up front a lot in the advertisement.
He was. And actually, a lot of the characters that were in Team 1 were put up in the advertisement. Like,
Yeah.
Michael Rooker,
Pete Davidson's
Pete
character.
Davidson, what was it? Nathan Fillion's character.
Jai Courtney.
Jai Courtney. Like, they were all... Honestly, if you look at that trailer, I think like a good 30 to 45 seconds of a minute and a half trailer is that beginning 30 minutes.
Which is good.
It's the beginning
Yeah.
30 minutes, and then they have like small little tiny clippets of the end.
Mm-hmm.
And that was really awesome. Because by the time you finished that first 30 minutes, you were like, oh, I've seen everything.
Mm-hmm.
Like, the only thing I really know about this movie is Starro shows up.
Yeah.
And the fact that they keep on talking about Starfish, we know Starro is coming up. So that didn't really spoil it.
No, really.
So, I mean, you're kind of like, okay. Like, it's open season. Let's see what happens.
It's open
You're
season.
mostly seeing, like, if you know about Starro by the end of this film, obviously, because of the marketing and stuff, you're basically going to watch the movie to see how the Suicide Squad takes down Starro. If they do, if that's another thing as well, too.
If they even deal with it.
Yeah, that's another thing.
Because honestly, I really did think that for a second there was a chance that they were just going to go, all right. And like end the movie with just
Yeah.
Starro battling it out. And I thought that would have been interesting.
That would have been cool. And then, like, that would have been like, oh, yeah, the Justice League has to handle that and stuff. That kind of bleeds into, like, if they did it.
Well, I think that would have been really funny if the Justice League did handle it and then they show the comic book of the Flash and everybody else, like a comic book like later on of like the Justice, or like you had they left and then the newspaper shows like the comic book cover of Starro battling the Justice League
Yeah.
and everything else. I thought that would have been kind of cool. And then it's like, oh yeah, like these guys aren't heroes. Like, but the way it did end was pretty sick. I
No,
actually
that's the
really
thing.
did
They
like
had their quote unquote hero moments.
They did. They
Yeah.
all did. Well, I mean, not necessarily all of them, but I mean,
The ones that were left over.
the ones that were left over. I also really enjoyed. I really did enjoy just the comedy that Rick Flag had,
Yes.
because in a couple of interviews, the actor that plays Rick Flag, he actually talked about it, and he goes, the one thing that I was really disappointed about Rick Flag is that I was only able to kind of show off one side of Rick.
Yeah.
I wasn't able to show off his entire like emotional spectrum,
Mm-hmm.
which is the nicest way of saying somebody wrote me a one-dimensional character and I didn't know what else to do with it.
Yeah.
There was no motivational because you said that he was in the original Suicide
He was in
Squad.
the
He is.
original one.
That's the same
and
actor, yeah.
I have a quote that he said about the original Suicide Squad.
So while you find that,
I have it right here.
Oh, you have it perfect.
He goes, when asked about the David Ayer cut, he says, or what he thoughts about it. He goes, there were conflicting visions of what the film was going to be. And sometimes with these big budget studio films, people start pulling at it from different directions. And then it doesn't really end up anywhere. I feel like that's what happened with the first Suicide Squad. It was kind of an end up being neither here nor there. That's what he said.
Yeah, because for me, like when I think about the original Suicide Squad movie, the one that came out 5 years ago, it didn't have that big of an impact personally. Like it was just more of like a villain team up with a mission, and then you get your quirky dark characters, and it was filmed very grainy and very dark, and like
So-
it wasn't comedic.
So,
I-
go ahead.
I feel like what happened was that when they made Suicide Squad, they were like they told David Ayer, you see that Guardians movie, make a darker version of that Guardians movie.
And the movie was already like 80%, 90% shot, and he had a different vibe. Because when you see the comic book, or the Comic-Con sneak peek
Yes.
that they released, it was a completely different vibe.
No,
it had
was
different
dark as-
music,
It was dark.
different contrast as well too. The mood was very dark. And then when they released the first fledged trailer, they made it more vibrant, more colorful, putting licensed music in it as well too. I think it was Queen was the first one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then while the other one, it was a more somber song. What was it? It was like I started a joke while the Comic-Con trailer was. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, even if you go by what Jared Leto says, where he even said, I had there is at least a good 20 to 30 minutes of Joker that's just cut somewhere that like will never see the light of day.
Oh yeah, Joker was in the Suicide Squad.
He was originally
That's right.
That was his first appearance inside of the DC universe, was in Suicide Squad. And apparently he played a huge part in that movie. He was like a huge foil to the Suicide Squad at that point. And it was one of those things of like they started moving things around, they cut a lot of the scenes, they did everything else, and then the movie just kind of fell apart. But I feel like this movie is also it's a huge petition of this is what happens when you just leave a director alone.
Yes.
Okay, so I know we're talking about characters, but a little tangent. Warner Brothers is like the most bipolar company I've ever seen.
Yes.
Because it's like, it has a record of like getting a really great director, right?
Micromanaging the hell out of it.
Exactly. It's like, we're gonna do that.
Which is,
but
dude,
you know what?
No.
That.
It's more of like it's right here, and then they go, listen, don't get involved, and then they go, okay, that's where it was.
This is a tiny like 2 inches.
They did that with 3 DC films. They did that with Batman versus Superman, where it was like, okay, like Zack Snyder had a vision.
They did that with all Zack Snyder films.
Yeah,
all the Zack Snyder films they touched,
and then it was just like, okay, like that's great, but let's just put this in here. Let's hint at that. Like they're like, oh, don't forget that. It's just like, what
it's
the
great
heck?
and all, but listen, it could be better.
And then Justice League, it was like, oh yeah. Oh, you're leaving? Okay. No, we'll take care of it. Okay. Take that out. Josh!
Hey, Whedon! Over here! Yeah. Come here.
So you see this?
You're in charge of this.
So you see this movie that we made? I want you to turn it into the Avengers.
You did this, right? Now do that for us.
This is why you guys need to watch this.
Honestly, you know what's funny though?
Logo. Howdy.
You know what the funny thing is? I feel like they picked the wrong person.
Yeah.
No. Because I feel like the person they should have gotten was Jon Favreau.
Wait, what?
If they were gonna take a director from a Marvel film, they shouldn't have taken Josh.
They took the biggest crybaby in Hollywood.
Well, they took the one that
one of the biggest crybabies
that left on bad terms.
With
they
Marvel.
did the same thing with James Gunn, but
yeah.
But the thing is that he had already left and everything else. But but the thing is that because here's my thing, James Gunn left on bad terms, but then he came back and then went, okay, I get what happened. And then
he had a mature way of handling it.
He had a very mature way of handling it.
Yeah.
Unlike Whedon, who was like straight up like, oh, y'all wanted to cancel Firefly and you guys want me to bring it back? Y'all can suck it. I'm just making Serenity. And that's it. Oh, you canceled Buffy? Okay.
I don't think Buffy was canceled.
Yeah.
Okay. Buffy was canceled, and so was Angel.
It was canceled with the.
Oh yeah, I know Angel. Yeah.
And then he said, "I ain't bringing that crap back. Y'all can suck it."
Yeah, and Buffy wasn't. It was canceled, then brought back.
Yeah.
And then they said, "Okay, this is gonna be your last season."
I mean, just kind
so
of.
they had to wrap everything up. So he actually got a chance to wrap everything up. Whereas Angel, they were just like halfway through the season, they go, "You're canceled. You're not getting another season." So then, like,
but we just wrapped up. No,
so like the last 6 episodes, they're just like wrapping everything up.
Do you think Whedon's just cursed, or there's
Probably.
something actually wrong with him?
No, there's something wrong with him. So here's the thing, though. Back to the
characters.
Back to the characters. Yeah. I'll get into the Favreau thing later, but back to the characters. I think that not only did they have a nice little balance of making you realize that anyone could go at any second. Like, no one is really safe in this movie.
No.
By, showing us with the biggest bait and switch since Deadpool 2.
Yeah.
And literally,
I forgot about that.
Yeah,
that's so true.
What was the bait?
X-Force.
Remember the X-Force and
they build them up, and then all of a
first
sudden,
team he built, he was coming together.
They all die.
That's literally what James Gunn did.
What was it? Brad Pitt shows up for like a second
as the Invisible Man.
If there was that would have been so much better.
I feel like James Gunn saw the X-Force die in the beginning, and he goes, "How hilarious would that be if that was the Suicide Squad?"
Yeah.
Like we could just use this for the Suicide Squad.
But
and
that's
it's the same thing.
So I'm gonna go back to this whole
just
thing
as
about
funny.
Rick Flag and about like how he was written one-dimensionally in the first movie,
Yeah.
and this one he was more expansive. Like even the characters that showed up. Like let's be real. Spoiler again. If you haven't watched it, go watch it. Pause the podcast. Come back when you're done, and you can hear the rest of it. But in the first team that dies, you had Weasel, you had Captain Boomerang, you had Mongol, you had who else?
Mongal.
You had Javelin.
Javelin. You had
The detachable
TDK.
kid.
DDK, Blackguard, and
Savant.
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 They all died within like 5 minutes.
Did you say Boomerang?
Captain Boomerang, yeah.
Yeah.
And we
That was the one.
did anyone
Yeah.
check to see if Weasel can swim?
I just love it. I was cracking up so much of just him going. Rah!
Yeah, I thought it was so funny.
Next image, him
I
just
know, he's-
drowning.
Like Savant just going, "The Weasel's dead. The
That's like
Weasel's
the best
dead."
way.
James Gunn kills his brother the first 2 minutes of the movie.
I just
That
thought it
was
was.
great.
I thought that was really funny, but also that's like one of the greatest things because it sets the mood of the movie so well.
Yeah.
What?
Of,
Yeah.
This is a
Disposable.
total cluster.
So
This
what
is a
I
cluster.
what I love too is that they act both the three main people in that team, which was Rick Flag, Captain Boomerang, and Harley. They've been through missions before.
Yeah.
You could tell.
Yes.
They talked about that.
Because even Boomerang says, "Holly, how did you get back in jail?"
Yeah.
And then she goes, "Oh, yeah, I had some road rage in a bank," which I'm very confused about. I
Yeah.
want to see that of Harley Quinn robbing, like having, like just driving a car through a bank.
Yeah.
And it was really cool. It was James Gunn showing that like, okay, I'm establishing that this Suicide Squad has been around.
Is a continuation.
It's been a thing. Tax Force X has been a thing, and I think that's what made it better compared to the first one. It was the first time the Suicide Squad was being
together.
formed.
But all these characters had dimensions. Like that was the thing is like what was it, Blackguard?
Blackguard, yeah.
Yeah, so
Pete
he was
Davidson, yeah.
it's Pete Davidson like established him as a very kind of like flamboyant, free for all character that's like
That's Pete
I'm
Davidson.
cool, I'm awesome. It's a Pete
It's
Davidson.
Pete Davidson as a villain in the DC.
And then what
Yeah.
does he do? Walk out, flashlights all
Yeah.
out. It's like, hey, they're here. I told you all. I'm safe. Right?
I'm the
not
one
gonna-
that called you.
I
Yeah.
also thought it was funny too. The first time you actually see Blackguard, he's teasing a
Oh,
guard.
he's like,
He's teasing a
With his
guard.
gun- with his
He's-
gun.
He's like trying to pull his gun, and he's like, It's really funny just to see like all of these like morons
yeah.
just in like no wonder why none of them succeed
Yeah.
Yeah.
in like defeating a DC hero.
Yep.
Like DC heroes do better when they fight each other.
Yeah.
Like when villains fight them, they're just like, man, this guy needs help.
Savant. Savant is also a good, like, multi-dimensional character because literally the movie starts with him, aiming a ball at different targets
Yeah.
and then killing a bird. This guy's a cold-blooded killer. This guy's seen crap, right? All of a sudden, he sees an entire squad just die,
Died.
and he's like, no, and then swim the other way and get his head blown off.
Well, I thought it was interesting because Savant has that's part of his abilities is that he basically can like he has like hyper thinking.
Hyper-awareness?
It's like super thinking.
Yeah.
Where he can like calculate things inside of his head and he knows probability and it's basically like he knows everything. That's why they call him Savant. So when I was watching it the second time,
I see what you mean.
so when I was
Yeah.
watching it, it was kind of like him doing the calculation in his head
Of anything that he would do.
of thinking about how exactly could we succeed, and then him realizing, oh, we're all dead.
Yeah.
Like there's nothing we can do to
Yeah.
win this. Like we showed up with basically the worst team in the world to an army, and we're stuck on a beach.
Yeah.
This guy's got a javelin. We're dead.
Yeah.
Detachable arms.
We got a javelin and a guy who can detach his arms.
And a girl that just, or whatever their species is, climbs on a helicopter and then just
yeah.
without even thinking about what's going on.
That is one of the funniest things because I actually thought she was going to crash it and then just walk right out of the car.
Nope.
Out of the
No.
accident.
You
And
thought
to
wrong.
see-
The
and to see
helicopter
her
is- on top
just
of her.
on top of her
Mhm.
as she screams, burning to death, is one of the funniest things I think I've ever seen.
Or Captain Boomerang too.
I love that. I felt that was a good middle finger of just like to the original Suicide Squad of just like Captain Boomerang just sitting there, have a bunch of like like shards
Shrapnel.
of wood, on him. He's just like that, and the plane of the blades of the helicopter just shredding him apart. And I'm just like, okay,
Yeah.
all right.
But that's the thing is that because you're 100% right, multi-dimensional characters that were established within 5 minutes that you all of a sudden get a feel for are immediately dead. Then the flip around happens and you realize Team 2 is
the real team.
Is the real team comprised of King Shark, Bloodsport, Peacemaker,
Ratcatcher 2.
Ratcatcher 2. I was gonna say Ratface, but it's Ratcatcher 2.
Ratcatcher 2
Polka Dot
and
Man.
the
Polka Dot Man.
And technically Harley.
Yes.
Technically.
She wasn't part of the second team. At
You know what I
least.
thought was really
Or
good?
Rick Flag.
You know what I actually really liked about this one too is that Harley is very much a side character.
Yes.
She
Yes.
is not the main character because there are good portions of the movie where you don't even talk about Harley Quinn.
No.
Well, Harley Quinn had her movie to establish herself in Birds of Prey.
Right.
And I think that Birds of Prey actually gave us a good enough Harley. I saw this on Twitter, and I got to stay away from Twitter because I feel like Twitter people are just kind of like, I get it. It's a place to express your opinions, but sometimes your opinions could just be wrong. They were upset
That's
that...
all Twitter.
That's all. It's someone said that they didn't like Harley Quinn in this one because she wasn't established well. But I'm
What?
like, you had that in Birds of Prey.
You had that in two movies already.
You
Yeah.
literally had a movie called Harley that was originally named Birds,
Birds
of
of
Prey.
Prey.
And then they realized that, Harley Quinn's technically in 90% of this movie. We should probably just call it Harley Quinn.
The Emancipation
And-
of Harley Quinn.
Yeah, the Emancipation of Harley Quinn and the Birds of Prey.
Yeah.
And
Which is fine. I would rather them label it Harley Quinn and the Birds of Prey because that way it shows the type of movie
Who's
that
a
it
front
is.
runner.
Yeah.
Yeah.
it's a Harley Quinn movie.
It's a Harley Quinn
But
movie.
we already know who Harley Quinn is. We've seen her, and this movie only kind of solidified what kind of character she is. We had a badass fight sequence where she was in jail in Birds of Prey, and we get that plus more when she's trying to escape being captured.
But I thought it was interesting too because James Gunn even used the same kind of effects from Birds of Prey when she's in the middle of the of like that detainment center.
Is she the one where she pulls out the two M16s and just starts shooting people, or like that entire sequence in general?
Well, the entire sequence in general, like it feels very Birds of Prey-y. Like the scene where she's taking on the police, the entire like, what was it? Like
Security?
Gotham, when she's taking on all of Gotham PD.
Oh,
Where she just walks into the police station and just starts murdering everybody. And or
Technically, she didn't murder him.
well, she didn't murder
She
them.
critically conditioned them.
That guy can't walk anymore. I think she should have killed him.
He'll live like a T2.
Yeah, like that man's a paraplegic now. He probably wishes he was dead.
It was because and you know what, Harley Quinn has. I think I've said this before. Margot Robbie is an exceptional Harley Quinn. Like she is
Yeah.
the definition of what Harley Quinn is.
She
Shame
gets it.
that she
She gets
doesn't
it.
want to do it anymore, but I completely understand because there's that quote that came out about Margot Robbie that she said, I'm going to take a break from that character, and it's 100% understandable. You don't want to if you don't want to be that one character forever, you don't have to be. It was a pleasure seeing her and all this other stuff, and she does deserve credit where credit's due in saying that she was an exceptional
But
Harley
you know what
Quinn.
the thing is that also I feel like because every movie so far, they've used Harley Quinn as a crutch.
Yeah,
In a
and
lot
she
of the
wasn't here.
movies. And she wasn't a crutch in this movie. She was an asset.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of like Birds of Prey. I feel like they used her as a crutch.
Yeah.
Suicide Squad, she's a crutch.
Mm-hmm.
And the problem with that is that you realize that this is the best character inside of this movie. Whoever was writing the movie had the most fun writing her,
Yeah.
Well, she was already established.
and they didn't really care about the rest of the characters.
That's true because I felt that way when it came to Birds of Prey. I liked it for what it was, but again, it was all focused on Harley Quinn, and then just the rest of the writing for the rest of the characters was just kind of mute.
Very flat.
Yeah.
It was very flat.
Yeah.
They couldn't establish anyone else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, there
And
wasn't
then-
a lot of nuance or anything like that. And I think the only other cool character was probably Black Mask.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like that's the only other character where you were like, oh, there's actual dimension to Black Mask.
But everything we saw about Harley Quinn in this movie, we already knew. Like
Yes.
when she
Yeah,
escapes
that's
the
the thing,
handcuffs.
yeah.
Yeah. Like we
Yeah.
knew she was flexible. We knew that she's capable of like handling 4 or 5 people coming at her at once.
We're just basically seeing her full potential in this one.
Yeah.
You know, that again, like you said, we know what she's capable of at this point.
Exactly.
There's really no reason to reestablish her already.
Yeah.
Well, I know that what was it when we were watching it? I think Rene, you turned to me and you were like, "Oh, like her getting tased is nothing."
Yeah.
Like she's
Joker
been,
did that for fun.
Yeah, Joker did that on like on like a vacation.
Yeah.
You know, the way that she got turned into Harley Quinn was because he was using electroshock therapy.
Mm-hmm.
You know, in order to like warp her mind.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you tasing her,
Using like a baton taser.
yeah,
or
like using
whatever
like
it
a
is,
regular
yeah.
baton taser, it's not gonna do much.
No.
She's taking she's basically taking like the a small city block to the dome. But besides her, I actually really I wasn't sure because in the first Suicide Squad movie, I have to admit Will Smith did a really good job as Deadshot.
I did for
I did really like him as Deadshot. He was a solid leader, solid solid main man. I knew Idris Elba was going to do a good job, but I wasn't sure if whether or not I was going to miss Deadshot.
Yeah. I
didn't care.
Well, here was the thing is that if you're going to say that Will Smith was a good leader, this movie didn't have a central leader because at every point of the movie, there was a different character that took the spotlight.
Yeah.
Like you
Right.
could say that Rick Flag was a central character. He was the character that led most of these group of people to kind of like, it led the movie in
Right.
ways, right? But then you look at Peacemaker. Peacemaker and Bloodsport were both head to head constantly. That was a good one.
Yeah.
They were both constantly fighting one another, saying
Yeah,
like,
they
you
were
know,
like one-upping each other.
exactly, like that point where he's like, "Oh, what was it? Oh, you shot the guy behind you or something like that."
Oh,
And
yeah.
He's
it
still
doesn't-
alive. That's
doesn't-
not a
doesn't-
non-lethal kill.
Doesn't count non-lethal. He goes exploding rounds. Then the guy explodes, and he goes, "People don't like when you show off." And he goes, "Unless what you're showing off is dope."
Damn it, he's right.
It's a great line
Because
It's a
they
great
both
line.
competed against one another,
Well-
and then when Bloodsport.
Yeah. Well,
oh, sorry. Go on.
But yeah, what I loved is that we got two characters that had essentially the same background.
Yeah.
And they point that out in this movie, which is really funny.
What's the difference?
Yeah.
Oh, well, I do it better than you.
Yeah.
And then,
Yeah, it's just like I use smaller bullets.
which was brought into the end,
Yeah.
which is great. Like James Gunn did a fantastic job at giving us an understanding of where these characters lie and why they exist in this universe.
Right. Yeah.
And every character had a moment to shine. You had, like I said, Bloodsport and Peacemaker were both head-to-head competing for attention, and there were moments where they both became, front runners of the movie.
Right.
Even was it Ratcatcher?
Ratcatcher 2.
yes.
Ratcatcher 2. I keep forgetting her name. Oh man, my ears started popping for a second. Ratcatcher 2. She even had like a front spotlight for a
Yeah.
bit.
She defeated Starro.
Yeah.
She essentially did, yeah.
Almost single-handedly.
Single-handedly,
yeah.
Yeah.
She defeated Starro.
Polka Dot Man also had it with like moments of his kind of like origin and his development, who he was, and his importance there.
And just the implication of all of it was disgusting.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
The fact that everybody he's like, "Oh, I don't like killing people, but when I have to, I picture my mother, and it's easy."
Then we get a scene where he just sees everyone in the Suicide Squad being his mom.
I like when he's like super drunk and he's dancing and he's imagining dancing with his mom. With all the
In
people
the bar,
at
in
it.
the barn, like they just turned into his mom, and you're just going like, "Ugh." Like this got weird.
It got really weird.
This got real weird real quick. But
Oh,
yeah,
we forgot my main man,
King Shark.
King Shark.
I thought you were gonna say Milton.
No.
That's a great.
Who? Milton.
You know what the funny thing is?
Wait, we had a Milton?
You know what the funny thing is that I actually didn't. Even on in my third.
Oh, you didn't
watch-through-
catch on to it? He
No,
was,
no. I on my third
Yeah.
third watch through, I don't remember them saying his name is Milton.
Right?
They
Yeah.
never establish it.
That his name is.
But I
Milton.
love that Polka Dot Man knew
Got
his
it.
name.
Yeah, got his.
I
name.
liked him.
He's been with us the whole time.
So James Gunn does a great job at making certain things like very aware. Like he's very self-aware in
Yeah.
this movie.
Mhm.
He did the same thing with Taserface.
Oh yes.
With the entire
Guardians
scene
of Galaxy
in
2.
Guardians 2, when Taserface
What's your name?
is torturing Rocket. He's like, it's Taserface, and then Rocket's just making fun of him.
Yeah.
Because he's like, oh, how did you come up with Taserface? He's like, do you shoot tasers out of your face? And he's like, no, it just sounds cool. And then he's like, oh man, this guy was just standing in front of a mirror, and he's like, you know what would sound really awesome? Taserface.
And then like the whole time he's like, when you kill Yondu, let him know that his demise was done by Taserface. And the girl's like,
But it's so great to see like all these characters have like their own fun, because like King Shark is one of those characters that I felt was becoming more and more iconic thanks to the Harley Quinn show.
I feel like it's not only the Harley Quinn show. He's been used very, very liberally in the Flash.
yeah.
He's been in like
but as a
8 episodes.
threat.
As a threat, but also he's been a very interesting threat.
Yes.
So that's what I'm saying. I think new interest
Yes.
in King Shark.
So, like, the thing is, when you have characters like that, like animalistic threats, right? You think of, like, Gorilla Grodd, King Shark, Killer Croc, Man Bat.
Right.
You know, they're all competing. Technically, in a way, you're kind of competing for the same attention. Because who doesn't love an animal supervillain? You know, you'll have people that are like, oh, yeah, I like Gorilla Grodd. Gorilla Grodd's pretty great. Or, you know, I love Killer Croc. And to make King Shark that unique is kind of awesome because it puts him in a different group.
Slightly off topic. I forgot to tell you earlier. So you remember how we were talking about Masters of the Universe last week?
Yes.
So I realized why the original TV show was so good.
Why? Did you actually end up watching the cartoon?
I started watching the cartoon, but I also watched the documentary on it.
Okay.
And I realized why it was so good. Do you know who used to write and draw for it?
Who?
Paul Dini and Bruce Timm.
Oh,
What?
wow.
They used to write. That was one of their.
How
first
young
things.
were they though?
That was like one of their first things in like the business.
Oh wow.
They were like young writers.
I was gonna say they would have to be like just like out of college and just.
Do you know what Paul Dini used to write? The PSAs at the end.
Oh.
Because even one of them goes like, oh yeah, like I don't even remember, because one of the head writers is like, I don't even remember writing that. It was probably Dini who did that.
Mm-hmm.
Like Dini was probably the one that was writing all of those, because like they didn't even bother me with
This
it.
is so crazy, man.
That's crazy.
Like it still like boggles my mind, like things like that, and you know, like I go back to the whole like, oh yeah, James Gunn was a porn director before, or did one.
Yeah,
Before
but I thought that was interesting,
Yeah.
kind of going back to like that. Paul Dini and Bruce Timm, they met each other on Masters of the Universe, and then later came back for Batman. Years later.
That's insane, man.
That's actually really cool. Wow.
Yeah, years later they came back together for Batman.
What documentary is this?
Masters of the Universe.
It's just called Masters of the Universe.
It's on Netflix.
Oh, dope.
But it goes through the creation of He-Man all the way up until the movie.
It's interesting you say that. Side topic.
I'm sorry.
No, you're good. The only reason, we're only like 30 minutes in, so
Yeah,
it's
you're
like,
fine.
yeah, we're good. It's super interesting to get like the background of these things, and this is like one of the reasons as to why I loved and was so like I was waiting for Suicide Squad to come out. Was, do you remember the behind the scenes trailer that came out like a couple months before this movie was supposed to be?
There was like 3 or 4 of them. Which one?
No, I think it was one. It was the one where James Gunn was talking to the camera, basically saying like, I can't wait for you guys to see it because this is the type of movie where I had a lot of fun doing it, and you know.
Yeah.
It was like one of the first behind the scenes trailers that came out.
It's called Guns Blazing.
So, yeah, something like that. When you get to see the behind the scenes of certain things, it really makes you appreciate the show a little bit more.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the documentaries that stuck with me heavily, and I did a speech on it for one of my college courses, was 6 Days to Air, the South Park documentary.
Yeah, the South Park documentary.
Yeah, it's on HBO Max. Have you ever seen it or no?
No.
Oh, it's so good.
So interesting.
It's so good.
It's all about how basically they write, produce, and come up with a South Park episode in basically a day.
Yeah.
Where it's 5 days of them procrastinating and like them kind of coming up with ideas, and then one day
That
of them
sounds about
actually
right.
putting it together.
No,
That sounds
like
about right, yeah.
no. Okay, yes and no. They procrastinated 2 days. They did things for 2 days. Then they realized that that's not what they wanted to do. So then
Threw
they
it out.
redid everything in a day and gave it to Comedy Central to air like an hour or two.
No, it wasn't. It was like 10 minutes to air.
Yeah.
Wow.
It was like 10
Yeah.
min- like it was like 10 minutes
crazy.
before they were supposed to air. Like literally, they're running the tape. They're running the tape in before it needs to air.
And that's all of their episodes, or most?
No,
of
that
them?
was the one documentary they wanted to film. They usually take about like a week or two to make an episode or something like that.
no,
but this is
no, because they usually take a week. So they're
Yeah.
like, this is a every day.
Did they say what episode that was specifically?
you can see it in the documentary. If you want, I can find you the episode so you can watch it first, and
Yeah.
then you can watch the documentary.
Yeah, rather,
because
yeah.
you don't want the documentary to kind of spoil it for you and be like, oh, well, this is kind of a bad episode.
Yeah.
Because it's not that bad of an episode. It's pretty good, but it's not like full on like what you expect from South Park.
Yeah.
But it's pretty good. But going back to Suicide Squad,
Right.
Characters.
Oh no!
We lost the camera.
Now we gotta reposition.
No, it's fine.
It's all Brian's fault.
Oh, it's still recording.
Yeah, it's still fine.
You're gonna have Bryan fiddling with the camera right now, which is funny.
Keep talking.
Okay.
Yeah, okay. So anyway,
So the characters that I liked in Suicide Squad, in this one, obviously I liked Bloodsport. Bloodsport's my favorite character. I'll say that. We'll go around and say our favorite characters. I really loved Bloodsport for one main reason, is that he just grabbed his weapons from his armor. And it's just like they just
You
form
were like
up.
a kid in a candy store,
Dude,
dude.
that's so cool,
You're
man.
just, every time he pulled out a gun, you're like, "Whoa,
And I was
that's
like,
so cool!"
yeah, the end part, I was like,
I-
I was like, ah. I was like,
but I have to admit, I feel like he had a cooler design than
What's wrong with you,
than
dude?
Deadshot.
You know why? Because okay, so there was a part. It was during the. Oh shoot! Did I do something wrong?
Did you stop recording?
Nah, it's fine.
Okay.
It was the fight during with Starro, where he flips his gun like 5 different times,
Yeah.
and then flips it one more time, then
Yeah.
pulls like 4 attachments from his suit to put it together. Renee was literally nonstop. Oh, whoa, ooh, oh!
I loved it.
I was like, all right,
Because he's making like it's so cool. It's like starts as a pistol, and he puts an add-on. It's like gets bigger, and it's like, oh, it's gonna be a machine gun. No, and then like it's like a
Renee-
freaking long range.
See,
I was like,
Renee needed to go to the restroom. Man.
yeah,
That's so cool.
but no, but Bloodsport was really cool. I think he
Yeah.
had but I feel like there was an actual. I feel like somebody didn't just look at a comic book and then like see his costume and then go, cool, make that.
Yeah.
I feel like somebody actually like saw his costume and then from it and went, how does that work?
yeah. Because in the
Like-
comic books, he has like a kind of like a utility belt around his chest
Right.
that does the same thing. He can form weapons from like these like cylinders and stuff that he pulls out,
Yeah.
and it just like becomes a weapon and stuff.
Yeah.
They saw. So I guess I see what you mean. Like they saw that and like, you know what? Let's put it on his armor because he is grabbing it from his body.
It's a part of his armor
Yeah.
pieces, like you
Yes.
said. Which
well,
is
not
dope.
only that, but also I think it was one of those things of like, if I was an assassin,
Mm-hmm.
I would make it so that way it looked like they were inconspicuous pieces of my armor.
Mm-hmm.
So that way, if people were like, let's just say I get captured,
Yeah.
they wouldn't take it off me because they're just like, oh, it's a piece of my armor.
Yeah.
And everything like that, because he was
It
taking
doesn't
off,
look like a weapon.
because he was taking off like pieces of his actual like chest plate and that turned into a gun. What was it underneath his arm was just like an arrow shooter.
It was a slingshot.
Yeah, it was
which
like a
is
slingshot. It was just shooting arrows and stuff like that. There was a lot of like little tiny things where it looked like somebody on the design team saw the comic, read a couple of issues, read some like really important issues, and then went, okay, how can we make that so that way it would work in reality, and everything like that. Whereas if like you were to use the same kind of concept for Deadshot in the first one, somebody saw his costume and went, the gun on his wrist is dope. And then literally just gave it to him, and then they were just like, "All right, cool, that's it." And it's like, wait a minute, hold on, but like Deadshot has a lot of like different like gadgets,
Yeah.
and he has a lot of like really cool things and everything else. And like I think there's like a comic book where like Deadshot shoots a bullet at like a wall, ricochets, hits another wall, ricochets, and then hits somebody in like a skyscraper,
Yeah.
like across the city. And it's like, oh yeah, like he never misses. Like he's basically bullseye. And
They're all the same character, but one does it better.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's the thing.
Words by John Cena.
Like they do it like their own finesse. I
Yeah.
guess, or something.
yeah, and I just think that's really interesting. But I like the idea that they actually gave Bloodsport a real backstory, and they gave him real stakes, and they gave him everything else. And
Yeah.
I agree with you. I really
It was a
agree.
second revival of Deadshot.
Right. It was.
Yeah.
How do we redo Deadshot without Will Smith?
Without using Deadshot.
Yeah, using Deadshot, and then somebody probably wikied what other hero uses guns and can't.
Assassin with the
DC
name
superhero
dead.
assassin.
DC supervillain
Yeah.
that
assassin.
doesn't miss. Assassin.
Okay, we can't
Everything
use
that came up was like
Slade.
bullseyes.
We can't use,
Can't use Slade. Can't use Deadshot. Got Peacemaker, and we got Bloodsport.
Bloodsport.
Just use
Just
them
both.
Just use them both. But yeah, I honestly I really liked Ratcatcher too.
What are you looking at?
Porn.
I'm looking at my comic.
Oh. I mean, technically porn at this point.
Yeah.
He's looking at Peace. He said Peacemaker. He just looks at it. He's like, yeah. Ratcatcher 2, your favorite.
I actually really liked Ratcatcher 2.
Ratcatcher 2 is good. Yeah.
I feel like Ratcatcher 2.
I see. This is how he originally looked. Bloodsport.
Just a giant macho dude.
He just had like a
when he-
headband on and stuff.
That's when he shoots Superman.
Yeah, that's when he shot Superman.
Put him in the SCU. Anyways, go on. So Ratcatcher 2.
I see you.
I see you.
SAU?
SAU. Why did it say SAU?
SAU?
Why did it say SAU?
I have no idea.
Acai?
SAU.
Acai?
What is
I see you.
I see you.
I see you.
Do you see me?
I see you.
But I don't see you.
Don't you work in a hospital?
Yeah.
Hey, that's
I
your
don't know.
day job.
It's 11 p.m., buddy.
About to be midnight in
Yeah.
12 minutes.
Your day job is in a hospital.
Yeah, I've also been awake since 5 a.m.
So have everybody else.
Have you?
Yeah, it was like 8.
Close
That's not
enough.
the point. Suicide Squad.
So what if I got 3 hours more? Suicide Squad.
Ratcatcher 2 and Taika Waititi.
No, I really liked Ratcatcher 2.
You mean Ratatouille?
Yeah, Ratatouille. I really appreciated her because she actually had kind of like the sensibilities of a child.
She had the most heart.
She had the most heart in the
Yeah.
movie, and I'm really happy that they didn't just go like, oh, she's like the nicest thing. We should just murder her.
Mm-hmm.
We should actually give her like a nice little arc. and
Was
everything
there
else.
a reason as to why she always sleeps?
I just thought she took on the characteristics of a rat.
Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah. That
Like
makes
she just
sense.
took the characteristics of a rat. Like she'll eat anything. She sleeps all the time. Stuff
So
like
you
that.
like Ratcatcher 2, but did you like Sebastian?
I actually really liked Sebastian.
Sebastian
like
was
the whole
great.
like I liked that whole Sebastian thing. I really loved the Taika Waititi.
Taika Waititi?
Taika Waititi. Yeah,
Taika Waititi.
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 All right, maybe it is late. So I liked the cameo because I remember seeing it with you guys and I thought it was I liked the idea that they showed Taika and then you both went, wait, was that Taika? And I went, yeah. And you both went, wow, what a middle finger to Marvel. Just like one of your greatest directors, and he's
Yeah.
just a silly cameo. He's just like
Yeah.
he's like he doesn't even have a line.
So, sorry, go on.
No, I was just agreeing.
So to me, it's funny because I don't think people recognize it's Taika Waititi unless it's announced that it's Taika Waititi.
Yeah.
But I think it was announced that he was going to be in this movie somehow.
It's also in the beginning credits.
Yeah. So because
But you're not looking at those.
No.
That's another
I
thing.
do.
So
too.
for me, I was
I am.
introduced to Taika because of Bishop, one of our
Mm-hmm.
buddies. He was the one that showed me What We Do in the Shadows.
Yes,
and
good movie.
Yeah, great movie. He directed it and he
Mm-hmm.
was in it. Then from there on, he basically did. I think his big break was Ragnarok, right? And he played Korg.
No,
Or what did he
he's-
do
Let
before?
me see, I'll look
He
it up.
did the
He had to do one more movie. He did one more movie before.
it was
that.
it was the Dracula one, wasn't it? It was the one where he was a vampire.
That was What We Do in the Shadows. That was his first one. That was his
What We
first
Do in
one.
The- so what we do in the shadows. Then he has like another movie in between that. He has at least 2 movies in
Yeah.
between.
But they were like indie small films. That's
very
why his
indie.
his big shot was Ragnarok.
Yeah, I think his biggest movie was Ragnarok at the time.
Yeah, but he was Korg in Ragnarok, and then he did Jojo Rabbit, which he played Hitler, which was great.
Yeah.
He did a great job with that movie.
Yeah, it was real. It was. I still can't believe you were crying when Hitler died.
No, stop.
So, real shit.
So
Bryan just couldn't stop screaming
Stop.
at the screen. Why Hitler? Why?
okay, so he's done. He's done a couple episodes of Flight of the Conchords.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that was like another thing
And
he was like really big.
he
on.
did the In-Betweeners. That was another thing that he did.
But he's starred in like his movies. He's always
Yeah.
been a part of his movies, but he's done a really good job disguising himself as like
So-
a different person.
So What We Did in the Shadows came out in 2014, and then Thor Ragnarok was released 3 years later.
Yeah.
So What We Did in the Shadows
It's kind
put
of,
him out there.
Yeah, that was kind of like his big. That was like his,
I couldn't tell it was Taika.
And he directed those Team Thor shorts that Marvel put out
Yeah.
during Civil War. He directed both of those ones.
But-
yeah, that was. I thought when they did those were proof of concepts. No, like when they first did them.
Oh yeah.
Like they were proof of concepts, basically saying like, Hemsworth's funny. Like I don't think you guys understand Hemsworth's funny. And then like they filmed those and like they went look how hilarious he can be.
Yeah.
So-
and you get all that.
So I'll be honest, like Ratcatcher 2 for me was good. I enjoyed her presence because she brought a very wholesome like ideology to the movie. The only thing that got me really nervous was Sebastian because I was like you guys said, no one is safe in this movie. The last thing I want to see is a cute little rat getting squashed.
It was the backpack, huh?
It was the little vest,
It was
dude.
a little,
Yeah,
it was a little
Little
vested
vest.
backpack.
I'm like,
Yeah,
it's
little
cute,
vested
dude.
backpack.
He tried. He brought
I-
a pretty leaf. He
I'm
brought
not-
a pretty leaf
Why
as
would
a
I
gift.
want to leave?
That was great too to find out that Bloodsport had a little thing for
Rats?
Yeah,
Rats.
he had a little.
Why was
fear.
this not disclosed? I'm an assassin.
I'm an assassin. Why would I tell you my weaknesses? I really loved the idea of like this like elite team of like just computer nerds that are like researching these villains.
Yeah.
And they're just like, oh yeah, like these villains they're mad killers.
Mm-hmm.
And they didn't find out like the basics about them.
Yeah,
Like they were just like, yeah, like they like
what
this
they
is a-
can't do and stuff like that.
yeah, like this is the rap sheet and
Yeah.
everything else. Like that's all we need to know. And then but it's really interesting because Gunn kind of focused on that, and it was like you only know the surface level of these villains.
Yes.
Like it was a nice little metaphor of like you only know the bare minimum
Yeah.
about them. You only know that yes, they're a trained assassin. They're this. They're whatever it is. You don't know anything about them, and so like the very beginning of Weasel drowning.
Yeah. Oh,
It's
so good.
one of the
Checked if Weasel
did,
could swim.
did anybody
Yeah.
check if the weasel could swim? Yeah. And then literally Waller like staring at all of them and then them staring back going, oops. Like
And it's just quiet, and you just hear Weasel go.
as he
Just,
drowns.
yeah. Just next scene, just floating,
It's
sinking.
really great, and I really enjoyed all the characters. I don't think that there was a single character that was misused or that was like I wouldn't have put in the movie or anything like that. I mean, even the javelin.
Yeah.
Like I love that scene with him and Harley, and it's
Take this javelin
take this javelin and carry it, and then he dies.
Yeah.
and do
then-
what with it?
And then she puts her hand on it
Yeah.
like she's gonna kiss him, and then she starts to slap him,
Yeah.
going like, "For who? Who am I carrying it for?" And then like everybody surrounds
Yeah.
her, and she's just like, he didn't tell me who I'm
Yeah.
supposed to be carrying this thing for.
The next funny part after that was the one I still love is when they try to get Rick Flag from whatever camp that he's at,
One of the so funny,
and they're just straight up just killing everyone that's in that camp.
right.
And then once they get to Rick, he's laughing and just talking to like the leader, and he's just like, "What are you guys doing here?" And he goes, "Well,
What are
Waller
you
told
doing?"
us you were captured, so we're here to get you." "Oh, I'm fine. Yeah, I'm just talking to her, and her freedom fighters are,
that are fighting against
like-
the government.
they're like, huh?
"Oh."
She goes, "Why wasn't I notified you guys were here?" He goes,
By my people. Oh, there were people in this
"There's-
camp?
Yeah, they're like, I didn't see anyone.
King Shark spits out a finger.
Yeah.
No, he spit out a.
It was a finger with a ring.
No, it wasn't. It was a croc tooth. It's like it's like a necklace.
I thought it was a finger.
No, it's like a shark tooth or something like that. But it has like a little like embroidery on it.
I guess I gotta watch it
You
again.
gotta watch it
Speaking
again.
about King Shark, that's my favorite character. That's my favorite. That's my favorite.
You were so upset when you thought he died.
Because he was
those
great.
little bloop bloops.
Yeah.
too.
Like, of all
I'm a
the
sucker.
things to
Look,
kill.
you put an animal in a movie and it's like adorable. I'm a sucker for it. I may be angry on the podcast all the
Yeah.
time, but I freaking love animals in movies.
I just think it's so. I loved the scene in the very beginning of King Shark basically trying to murder Ratcatcher,
Oh yeah.
where he's just trying to eat her because he's hungry. And then she's
Hungry.
like, yeah, and it's like, oh, he wouldn't do that. Look at his eyes. And then she
The
looks
rat.
at
The
him
rat tells her like, no, he was
no,
trying to
like,
eat
he
you.
was like, no, he was trying to eat you.
Do you have to bleep that out?
No.
Yeah.
Oh. Yeah.
I'm not gonna bleep it out.
Go ahead, because you said it.
No, because technically not as
Because
bad
that's
as.
the way it works around here.
Technically,
more you-
bastard isn't a cuss word.
It isn't.
It is now.
Says who?
Putting it on the list.
It's gonna send it to
Words
YouTube.
he can't say on the show.
He's gonna send it to YouTube. Be like, have a 4-page essay of why that word is a bad word. And then
just
next thing
to
you
get me
know,
banned.
I was gonna say, then we're gonna get demonetized right there.
We don't even make money on these videos, so why would he get demonetized?
No,
It's
no,
just to spite me.
Yeah,
That's
just
all
to
he does
spite
it for.
Well, at this point, we'd owe them money.
No, but King
Oh,
Shark.
It was
negative,
so bad
the negative
that
dollars we're making.
We lost money from putting your video up. That's what happened. You owe us
You
money.
owe us $150 for that.
But no, I think that King Shark is a really interesting character, and I love the idea because I originally thought that the scientist, that the one guy that's behind the chair that says like, oh yeah, the kaiju.
Oh yeah.
A lot of people were saying like, oh yeah, that guy was gonna turn into King Shark, and I don't know.
Oh
why.
no, he was doing because he was doing the body capture for that.
Yeah.
Oh, was he really?
Yeah,
Because
I saw a set photo and he was in that suit with like the
Yeah.
things on and everything.
Oh.
So what everybody thought was that he was going to turn into King Shark and that he was doing the body capture because of that.
Uh-huh.
And then you find out, no, it's just they just found a shark. It's like
Yeah.
a person that talks like Sylvester Stallone.
Born from a shark god
Yeah.
Yeah,
somewhere.
that apparently is like part of a shark guy.
He's been around
It's
for a
just-
while.
The thing is, it's like you can make a stupid character. Like he was stupid. Like, yeah, let's be real. He was 100% dumb.
Yeah.
Right? But he wasn't obnoxiously dumb. He was
No.
like useful.
Yeah.
he was really useful, but the thing is that I feel like he was the Suicide Squad version of Groot.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, because you needed somebody that had like a childlike wonder
Mm-hmm.
that you can do funny gags with,
Yeah.
and stuff like that. Like the when they're going to go save Harley,
Mm-hmm.
it's one of the funniest things where they're all going like,
Yeah.
I don't see anything. Oh, what was it like? It's clear.
I got
Oh,
my eyes on the one person in the building. It's a woman picking up the phone.
It's a woman like answering a phone. And then what was it? And then like you just see King Shark and he goes, bird. No, wait, get off the comms.
But besides, I think honestly, if animals aside, Peacemaker was just a fantastic character as well.
No, I totally understand why Peacemaker is getting his own show.
Yeah.
I totally get it. Like John Cena, I feel, and this is the reason why I feel like John Cena stole the Peacemaker outfit and he's just been wearing it in everything.
Oh yeah, in all the press. Have you seen it?
No.
In
In all the
his-
press interviews, he's wearing the suit.
He's Peacemaker.
Yeah, he's
Yeah.
wearing Peacemaker's outfit, and they even asked him too, like, how do you feel being Peacemaker? And he goes, I love it.
I'd
And-
kill women, children, anyone just to keep peace.
Please keep peace.
Yeah, but I thought it was so funny because he even talked about it with James Gunn there, and then he was like, oh yeah, like, it's real nice. You wear the suit, you feel real good. They don't ask for it back, especially when you keep on wearing it when you fall asleep. And eventually they just stop asking.
All right, so let's move on to the production aspect of this movie.
The one thing I really wanted to talk about for the production, though,
Uh-huh.
is the fact that James Gunn said that this is the most expensive movie that he's ever made, the largest movie that he's ever made, which is amazing considering he made Guardians.
Yeah.
And Guardians 2, which is actually, if you think about it, very small movies.
Guardians. Well, at the time, yeah, because they didn't
It's
want
only
to.
5 sets.
Yeah.
It's 5 sets or 6.
So that's the thing is that I felt like with Suicide Squad, Warner Brothers took a bigger risk because they were willing to throw more money at this and use James Gunn the way he wanted to be used,
Right.
to make a movie that they knew was going to succeed. Like they looked at the possibility of like the success and said, oh, if it's like 80% chance we're going to make our profit or we're going to make what we spent and more, they gambled. And they gambled well.
But is it a gamble when you have James Gunn behind the wheel?
Yes.
But no.
Knowing what happened with him, in a way, yes. Because that's the thing, is that you can't just look at a director and see only his successes. Like, James Gunn, the way I see, didn't have an identity or a proper identity until Guardians put him on the map, right? So that's the thing is...
I always knew James Gunn from Slither.
Okay, yeah, which was a B-rated film.
Yeah,
a B-rated horror film.
I knew him from all the B-rated horror films I used to make.
Exactly. So then you look at Guardians, and that's the thing, is that when you look at a director and the movies that make them, when they start to diverge or kind of like try something a little bit different, sometimes you don't get, a good success. Edgar Wright, who's one of my favorite directors, when you think of Edgar Wright, a lot of the movies that most people know him for are the Simon Pegg trilogy movies.
The Cornello films.
Yeah. So that's where he kind of got his popular hits. Then he did Scott Pilgrim. And Scott Pilgrim was, a hard turn from what he was used to. Right? Because that movie was like an ode to like pop culture and video games and comics and stuff. And, he was even saying that when he wanted to do the animation for the pow, wham, bam, all those things, those were hand drawn and then integrated in the film.
Right.
Then you look at Baby Driver, and when he talks about it, he's like, oh, yeah, Baby Driver was an ode to music and action sequences that go with it. He wanted to make sure that the action sequences matched the beat of the music. And in the Directors Guild podcast that I was listening to, he was talking about Baby Driver. And in that movie, fun little fact, there's a sequence where he runs out of music. It's the sequence where he gets into a car and then rewinds the podcast or rewinds his iPod to restart the music. That sequence, he said that when he was storyboarding it, he ran out of music. So instead of adding another song to that list, he just rewinded the music and then started from that point again, which is pretty cool. But
it's clever.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying, is that, he went somewhere else and it worked. James Gunn went from making Guardians, which was a fun, very quirky, fun, safe family movie, to Suicide Squad, which is essentially a Guardians movie, but unhinged.
I feel like Suicide Squad is, you're right, it is a Guardians movie that is unhinged. I feel like it's the Guardians movie he's always wanted to make.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
It's like R-rated.
Or just like a comic book movie.
I feel like this is the comic book movie he's always wanted to make, where it's like, it's unhinged. I can kind of do whatever I want.
Yeah.
I can kill whoever I want.
Yeah.
I don't really need to worry about what comes next after this movie. Because when you think about it, with all of those... When you think about like all the villains that are there, it kind of makes you think, wow, there's been a lot of things that are happening. And there has to be way more heroes that are out inside of the DC world if this many villains are walking around.
Yeah.
Like, I highly doubt, it's possible Superman just captured everybody. But, I think it'd be really a lot more interesting. See, because I really wanted the same thing that they did in the first Suicide Squad, because I really did like that, where it was like how they got captured. Where it's like, oh yeah, Captain Boomerang, like you see him robbing a bank, and then you just see like the Flash just run in and then push him, and then he's captured, and it's like
or Diablo sets up or lights a house on fire.
Yeah,
kills like a family.
Yeah. I really liked that kind of stuff, but I understand not putting it in either, because sometimes you saw some of like the things that they had done, and it made it really hard. No matter like how likable the character was, to kind of forgive what they did. Because it's one thing to say, oh yeah, I murdered 26 children. It's another thing to show a weasel murdering 26 children.
Yeah, and that's the thing, is that you can add violence to a movie and make it funny, but it is a big gamble to do so. Because sometimes violence is just way too much. It's just, are you trying to connect it? Don't tell me that your phone's about to die. It's at 3%?
There we go.
I saw it right now, and I was like, oh, it's at 3%. I should probably plug that in.
Oh my God.
Maybe we should plug that in. Plug it in.
Let's see, how much is mine at?
Oh, now you got Bryan.
I'm at 6%.
Okay, I have another charger. So I'm going to be stepping out. So go ahead.
I don't think you can reach it from here. It's fine.
have a long... No, you can just plug it in right there, and then
Oh,
But,
dope.
yeah.
Okay, well, you find that. So going back to the production aspect of it, you can add violence into a movie and try to make it funny, but when it's over exaggerated and way too much, it ruins the atmosphere of it. And that's what I'm saying. Where it like he didn't play it safe and it worked out for him, because when you make an unhinged Guardians of the Galaxy, if it's way too violent and it's just too much to handle and it's not done properly, you can mess up the movie.
Yeah, but I
Here
feel
it was tasteful.
Yeah, but also, I wouldn't expect that from Gunn. Like, I honestly do not expect Gunn to go like, oh yeah, we're just gonna put a lot of gratuitous violence and have absolutely no story that goes along with it, because that makes no sense. Gunn, that's not the way he directs.
No, it isn't. It isn't. And do you want me to? You can go ahead and sit down. I can plug it in. Yeah, go for it. Keep talking. Keep talking. Someone talk.
Anyway, well, the main thing I besides that, the main thing I really wanted to talk about was the way that Gunn actually shot.
Is that the right charger?
Yes.
Okay.
Is the way that Gunn actually shot the movie, though. I thought that was really interesting because it was the first time that it was shot with red cameras. Mm-hmm. It's a specific type of camera, very
Snyder
lightweight.
did that with Army of the Dead.
Yeah, but the thing is that I really liked these because the like the way that they actually put them in is like basically it's in like a 360 ball that spins, and like that entire shot where what was it? It's looking at Savant and it's upside down, and then the camera flips right side up and then just keeps on like, and then the shot continues. That's an actual one shot. And Gunn was even saying, he goes, the cool thing about the movie is that it feels like the movie is always getting pushed forward, not only by the action, but the camera itself is always moving.
Yeah.
And that really does help kind of push the movie forward, push the action forward. It makes you feel like you're in the room.
If we're gonna talk about like the camera and the way this was filmed and stuff like that, James Gunn matured here. I think that this is the movie that defined, and maybe you guys can disagree with me or agree with me, but this is the movie that will define James Gunn's filming style for the next couple of years.
I agree with that. Yeah.
Because we have like those, because that's the thing is that a lot of filmmakers have their own style of filming. Like Zack Snyder, okay, I'll even give you this. J.J. Abrams, more recently has lens flare. Like we always meme that, right? Michael Bay, explosions and giant action sequences and stuff.
Quentin Tarantino feet. Yes.
Feet. James Cameron is the expansive epic adventure.
I would say Tarantino is more of like the excessive blood.
Yeah.
Nut shots and head explosions.
No.
Gratuitous violence.
He likes to do it where it's like very gritty violence, but also done in a way where it's
so gritty and so over the top.
Yeah.
That even somebody who like doesn't like gore would know that's not real.
Yeah.
And it's you're in on the joke.
Yeah. And then James Cameron is the big giant adventure epic that you're gonna look into Avatar, Titanic, like all these things, Aliens.
I'm telling you right now.
He Who Shall Not Be Named, make you feel smart when you're not.
I feel that Guardians 3 will look more like Suicide Squad when it's done.
Or
I see that. No, I see that. Yeah.
But I mean like the motion of camera.
Like transitions where the environment and stuff.
That's what I'm saying. This is his mature.
James Gunn has a style, but it's not towards the way he films a movie. It's a way he writes a movie.
Exactly.
So let me ask you.
He played around with time.
Let me ask you this then.
That's not something he normally does in a movie.
Will Guardians 3 have more practical effects, or will it still all be like?
I feel like he is going to have more practical effects because this movie had a lot of practical.
It did, and that it didn't use. I mean, there's still a lot of like green screen and additions to stuff in the background because not all of that was practical, but it felt organic, unlike Guardians.
But that's not something. That's not something new. Like I know that in Guardians 1, the scene where Quill is trying to save Gamora, that's a practical effect.
That is a practical effect. But like
I think they're in water.
Yeah.
He filmed it in water and then they digitally removed the air bubbles.
But what I'm saying is like, okay, like I get it. Guardians takes place in space and there's no way they're going to film up there. But like what I mean is that
you never know.
You don't know what's real, what's not.
Elon Musk sends him into space.
Justin Lin. No, because Justin Lin beat him, remember?
Oh, yeah, that's right. Justin Lin did beat him.
Oh, God.
But what I mean is that, like, Guardians didn't feel organic. It didn't feel like a lot of, like, his filming style was very, digital. It felt very CGI, very kind of like fake, I guess. Not that that's a bad thing, but it just didn't feel like.
In no way, shape, or form could this be real.
Exactly. Whereas this one, even though a lot of it was fake, you can tell that there was a lot of practicality in it. The set designs felt organic. The filming was very organic. The shots were very organic. Even like some artful stuff where the sequence right before they get to the building that they were going to blow up. We were talking about this. It was beautiful. Like it was a high contrast white. And as they're walking in the rain, you were like, oh, this is wallpaper worthy. Then King Shark rips someone in half and the lightning strikes. You're like, we didn't need none of that. No one needed that. But we got it. And it was a beautiful shot.
That, and also, I honestly, I actually really like this shot with Harley and the flowers behind her.
Oh, yeah.
I think that's a beautiful shot as well.
And then after she's like right about to exit the building, the birds, the little animated like Snow White birds started flying all over the place.
But that's what I mean, because those showed up in Harley in the Birds of Prey, if I remember correctly.
Well, that's he kept continuity there.
He did.
Yeah, because
he's pulling from, and I feel like that's a lot of the Marvel stuff. That comes from Marvel.
Technically, it's in the same timeline, but it isn't in the timeline. But it technically is.
It is. It's in the timeline. It technically takes place. I think this takes place after Birds.
Yeah, because we were talking about this, right, Rene? With her back tattoo says "property of" and it's a skull, but it's a nobody.
Yeah,
no one. That was from Birds of Prey, I believe.
Well,
right?
because the back tattoo is from the first one.
Yeah,
it is on her in the first one, but it just says "property of," and then it says
the skull of the Joker.
It's the skull of the Joker, and then after Joker breaks up with her for Birds of Prey, then she puts the property of no one.
Yeah,
and then that's when she becomes like that uber,
free for all character. And they bring that up in this movie as well. Like James Gunn doesn't forget about that, because when she is proposed to whatever this president or the dude, I forget his name.
He's not in the movie very long.
Yeah, he's not.
He's just El Presidente.
Yeah, whatever he is. But like
There's a lot of El Presidentes in the movie.
He kind of like presents this idea that he has and all this stuff, turns around, gets shot. And then she gives this entire speech like, I told myself that after I dated, technically we all know it's the Joker, that if I have a boyfriend or something with red flags.
And he has a couple of red flags.
I wouldn't just let him walk away.
And just shoots him. I do the healthy thing and murder him.
But I like her talking to herself. Well, technically talking to him, but talking to herself. And she has this great explanation of what was it? And if he has red flags, and I have to admit, killing children, it's a big red flag.
Yeah.
And I know
that's where you draw the line.
And I know what you're probably thinking. Why, Harley, if it's such a red flag, why don't you just leave? And it's like, because men who have such huge red flags have a tendency of destroying everything around them. And I was like, oh, that's so good. Like, that's such great storytelling, because it's taking everything that she's learned. This character has learned so much from Suicide Squad 1 through Birds of Prey to now.
Yeah.
Where it's like, I understand that I could just leave you alone like I did Mr. J, but you're so dangerous. You're so bloodthirsty and will do anything for power that I have to kill you now.
To me,
to save everyone else.
It feels like how you kind of said it was like, if James Gunn wrote Harley Quinn really well, where you felt like watching Suicide Squad and then watching Birds of Prey, and then you're watching Suicide Squad movie.
The Suicide Squad.
Yeah, the Suicide Squad. You're watching this one, and you're like, well, okay, I feels like it was kind of worth it. Like, I've watched those movies.
It didn't feel like a waste.
Yeah, it didn't feel like I did not need to not watch those movies.
This didn't feel like X-Men 1, 2, and 3.
Yeah, where they kept just like threw away those movies. And stuff.
Because honestly, I do like the idea, because even Boomerang is very like self-centered, doesn't want to talk to anybody or anything like that, doesn't really care. And the fact that him and Harley have this like camaraderie where it's like, oh yeah, hey Harley, like you're back in prison, like how did you get here, and everything else, and that's really interesting.
Captain Boomerang was in the first one, right?
Yes, it is.
Do you not remember the first one at all?
Do you really expect me to remember that one?
I do.
Look, Andy showed me a Facebook memory that 5 years ago on this day we went to go watch the Suicide Squad movie.
Did you really?
Yeah, which is weird. I'm like, this is kind of weird.
Yeah.
But I remember because she also showed me the Facebook post that I posted, and I'm like, it's all right. I didn't think it was like okay.
Yeah.
I think it was better than. I think it said it was better than BVS or something like that.
I remember my first initial reaction after walking out for the first Suicide Squad movie, and I was legitly kind of like the same way after BVS right away, was that I was just numb, and I was like, was it good?
Did I like it?
Yeah, I know. I'm like, but it wasn't great.
Yeah.
But I didn't enjoy it.
I was bored.
Yeah.
I was bored. I think I fell asleep.
But
I'm like 90% sure.
I hardly fell asleep in movies, but the first time I fell asleep in a movie was, I think it was Transformers: The Last Night.
Dude,
the same one Andy fell asleep. The one with the T-Rex, right?
No, that was the one where they're trying to resurrect
Isn't that when Optimus
Unicron.
Prime is evil?
Huh?
Optimus Prime is like evil in that one.
Oh yeah, he is.
Are
Yeah.
we trying to remember Transformers?
Yeah.
Honestly,
that was the second movie Mark Wahlberg was in.
I'm not.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie. I remember falling asleep in that movie.
Uh-huh.
I woke up and Optimus Prime was trying to kill Bumblebee, and I'm like, I missed a lot.
There's some context.
Yeah, there's
here.
a lot of context that I missed.
I think the only movie I fell asleep in was
Who Framed Roger Rabbit?
Tron, the new
What?
one.
Legacy?
Yeah, but it wasn't because the movie was boring. It was because I was really tired.
Well, that's not.
That
No,
doesn't
no,
count.
that doesn't count.
It doesn't
Yeah.
count.
Yeah.
But that's the
Doesn't
only
count.
movie I've.
That's the
I've
only movie
I
that
was
you
sleeping
slept
because
in
I
the
was really
theater?
tired, and even though Tron's a really good movie, it's very dialogue heavy.
It is. It's wordy.
Yeah,
It's very wordy for a kids movie.
Da-na.
That's a very.
I finally showed
wordy
Andy
movie.
all of Tron because
Both of them?
Both of them.
And
She's
the
never,
show?
And not the animated show.
Oh, okay.
Tron,
Yeah.
the
John
animated show is pretty
Uprising.
good.
Yeah. Elijah
Sure.
Wood does the voice.
I've heard it was really good.
It's actually really. It's like before Legacy.
We just need another Tron movie. I'm in this boat where Tron 3 needs to happen.
It's been in like the works. For
It's
like,
been
No,
in
they've said,
development hell.
don't lie to me because this is what I've heard.
What?
It's been in the works, then it hasn't. Then Disney said, we're canning it. Then they said, but don't give up hope, guys. It's still somewhat there.
It's
Then
the
the
same-
director came out and said, listen, we're making it. It's going to happen. Then Disney said, don't listen to them.
No, it's-
There's not a possibility. Then they came out and there was supposedly a rumor that music for Tron 3 was happening. Then that got thrown out the window. And now it's present time and we're saying Tron 3 could possibly happen, but we all know that it's not going to happen.
Well, no, it's the
until
same-
the year 2025.
It's the same thing with before Wonder Woman came out. It was the same thing too, where it was like Wonder Woman was always in development hell. It was always kind of like, oh no, we're gonna do a Wonder Woman movie. Nothing.
So you're telling
Yeah,
me that
yeah.
there's still hope.
There's still hope.
well, yeah,
Don't lie
'cause
to me.
I think.
Don't give me.
Don't
false
do
hope.
that.
Well, I mean, to just go full circle on that, Joss Whedon, I think, pinned a Wonder Woman movie.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, how did that work out?
He didn't get made.
Exactly.
Never happened.
Joss Whedon pins a Tron 3 movie. No! It's over. It's done.
Definitely didn't get made. I think it was because it focused a lot more on the bondage aspect.
I just thought of something.
What? Share with the group.
Tron 3, directed by Christopher.
Shut
Nolan.
up!
Thank you for making everyone's ears bleed.
That's the
jerk.
fear you have now.
Dude, if Tron 3 gets directed by Christopher Nolan, I swear, dude, I'll watch it. But I'm gonna be like,
You know
why
I'm gonna
the-
watch it. You know
I know,
You
it's
know
not
I'm-
a question. Yes, I have to watch it. Like, there's like that's the thing is that you can't tell me, oh, you can't watch it because you don't like Christopher Nolan. Again, I don't. It's not that I don't like him.
You did.
It's just I gave my explanation on Facebook.
I feel like
I
this
just-
is. I feel like Christopher Nolan is the girl that keeps cheating on you. And,
No.
and she keeps calling you over to have sex with her, and you're just like, oh,
I guess.
I guess.
but the booty is good. But the booty's good. I can deal with it because the booty is good.
With that image in my mind. Thanks.
You're
Rene,
welcome.
what did you have to say? Why did you spoke it into existence?
Because it came into my head and I was
Produced by
laughing.
Christopher
You
Nolan.
said share with the group.
It's true. You did say that. Well, it's not a Warner Brothers film, so it won't happen.
That's true.
So,
now my head hurts, dude.
it's fine.
If it happens, like Christopher Nolan's like, Warner Brothers isn't a good company to work for. I'm gonna go to Disney.
I'm taking my production company and we're gonna
to Disney now.
We're gonna go to Disney.
What movie you're making? Tron 3.
They gave
Except
me-
he's not gonna call it Tron 3. He's gonna
me
call
options.
it Light Bikes.
So I have a question. What did you guys, just to kind of go back to the topic and
To
get away from Christopher Nolan?
backpedal
Yeah.
back.
What was it? What did you guys think of the villain?
Starro?
Would you consider Starro the villain though?
I consider more.
They're all villains.
Because I consider
The real villain was you all along.
I mean,
it was the viewer.
Because I feel like it was more of
The thinker?
The thinker is kind of like the villain.
Mm-hmm.
I think that it's also the mayor that becomes president. Like I feel like there was. Because I actually really liked the idea that it was a human villain that didn't understand what he's messing with.
Yes,
Like
Sure.
I don't understand the creature that is inside of the tower.
but I know
and-
it's like a weapon.
It's
of
a
mass
weapon.
destruction.
It's definitely a weapon of mass destruction.
Yeah.
I can threaten to release it onto the world, and this will give me more power.
So I want to kind of throw a hot take and say that this movie didn't technically have a villain. And again, easy answer. Yeah, they're all villains, but it's more along the lines of like who had the redemption? Because in a way, certain characters had redemptions. Like King Shark was a dumb villain and he became useful. Ratcatcher came from nothing, became something.
Right.
Polka Dot Man, experimented to become a superhero, became a superhero, dead. Bloodsport, not a dad, kind of crappy. Then his daughter became proud of him. Like all these characters had redemptions. The Thinker didn't have one because he was a piece of crap.
Yeah,
Point
he's
and
a
simple.
Scientist.
And
Well, I mean,
Starro
he
was
def-
just a catalyst
He definitely had a redemption.
against the wall.
Oh, thank
Oh,
you
sorry,
so-
against the glass pane or whatever, a
I'm
piece
so-
of glass.
I'm so. Thank you, Brian. I wanted to pitch you that. I wanted to pitch a joke, and
Then
you just swung at it and hit it out of the park.
home run.
Yeah, I was like, oh, I hope he hits it.
Wow,
I hope he hits
it.
It's a good one. But yeah, no, because
Starro was a catalyst.
I feel like Starro was a catalyst, but also Starro is like a victim. Because
Yeah.
I especially with his last words.
Yeah.
It was so peaceful when I was staring at the stars,
Mhm.
and it's like, oh, like Starro wouldn't be doing. Like Starro wanted to be in the world, like,
But
out
Starro
with
was
the
kind of
stars.
confusing because even James Gunn referred to him as Starro the Conqueror. And it's like, okay, so if he was so peaceful among the stars, is that some BS lie you're trying to get us to like believe? Because you came here, like I get it, you were captured and experimented on and tortured for 30 years or something like that.
But
Then you say the city is mine and all this other stuff, and even Gunn refers to you as a conqueror. Then the last line you say before you die is, "Oh, I was at peace staring at the stars." Okay,
I feel like that wasn't Starro who gave himself that name though.
it was the
I think it was I do think it was the Thinker, because Thinker says, I call him Starro the Conqueror.
I see.
And I feel like it was because of his abilities and because he looks like a starfish that he called him Starro the Conqueror.
So
Because if Starro wanted to conquer an entire country, it would
He
probably
could.
take him like an afternoon.
yeah,
Yeah.
he could.
And then like what? He would control it, the whole world by a week.
Basically.
Unless the Justice League steps in.
Yeah.
Yeah, unless you capture the Justice League as well.
But he would get bigger. The thing is, he gets bigger and bigger the more people he controls.
Exactly.
Right.
So how big would he be if he controlled the whole planet?
The size of the planet.
And he would just basically like float off, and just like
Who played Starro? Patrick Star. Immediately, as soon as I saw
No,
Starro in his full
I'm
shape, I just thought of Patrick. No, this is Patrick. No, but I honestly think that the one line that sticks with me, and it stuck with me ever since last year with DC's Fandom, the first one. I forget who it was that was talking about this. Who's the head of DC? Something Lee? Jim Lee?
Yeah.
I think it was him that was mentioning it, or that said it, that villains could be just misunderstood heroes.
yeah.
And I think Gunn
Exactly.
perfectly captured this. Final thoughts before we move on to the last one, if you guys have anything.
Well, I mean,
to-
if you think
to
about
say.
it, that's technically what Yondu is.
He's a
in
misunderstood
Guardians.
villain, yeah.
He's a villain.
Or
that's-
misunderstood hero.
Yeah, he's a misunderstood hero in Guardians 1 and 2 because Yondu is kind of a villain.
Yeah.
You know, he's a thief. He kidnapped Quill. Like, he's not a great person.
No.
Yeah.
But he had good intentions.
But he has great
He was
intentions.
a dad.
Yeah, he is. Where it's like,
Oh, sorry. He's not his dad. He was his daddy.
he may have been your father,
But I mean, definitely your daddy.
But he wasn't your daddy.
Call me daddy now.
But like that was the thing is that even if it's not put out there obviously with some of the villains that you see there, I think Polka Dot Man was probably the one that's probably described the best that way because you know he was experimented on to become a superhero and he just did really crappy things because of his emotional distress.
Yeah.
And then at the end he became a superhero. Bloodsport did the same thing. He had a change of heart where he's like, this ain't my problem. I'm just going to go.
I'm leaving.
And then what does he do? Crap. Turns around and, decides to change the world.
His conscience kicks in. And then he's like, I'll hate myself if I leave. I have to do this.
Yeah.
This is so stupid. And he's very upset and everything else. But I really liked this movie. This movie was really good. The characters were awesome. Like I said before, I think that all the characters really shined.
Yeah.
You know, even just the characters that died.
Do you think we can get Andy on Facebook real quick?
Yeah.
See if she answers. Because I want to get an outside opinion, outside of the nerds, of the movie.
She said she liked it.
Yeah. But I want let her be a part of the show for like 5 minutes.
Yeah, Nick, you're holding us back. just kidding.
Why can't we have a normal conversation with an outside guest?
It's 12:30 at night.
She watched the movie with us.
Should have thought of that before it was 12:30.
One of the last things I want to bring up before we have a conversation with Andy for like 5 minutes.
She's not going to answer.
She could. I don't know. We'll see. I told her to keep her phone close.
She's
there was
asleep with your dog.
Oh my God, with
Weasel.
Sebastian.
Sebastian or Weasel?
With Weasel both. So
he ate her.
There was a quote that came out this week that was said by James Gunn, and it's James Gunn versus Martin Scorsese, where he made a comment about his take on Marvel films.
Yeah.
Can you look up that quote real quick or no?
Did I send that? Or?
You shared it on your Facebook as well.
I did.
Because I shared it on
this
Facebook.
This is like super old, where Scorsese just basically says like, "Oh yeah, like
Marvel movies aren't films.
Like they're not real films.
They're amusement park
They're
rides.
amusement park rides.
Yeah.
Like a new one comes out every year, and it's just like slightly different.
And I just found it funny because like I get it. Like I know what James Gunn was trying to say. I don't think like he was making any form of malintent to like fight Scorsese on this, but it's like I think he just wanted his own take.
So he said, it just seems awful cynical that Scorsese would keep coming out against Marvel, and then that is the only thing that would get him press for his movie. He's creating his movie in the shadow of the Marvel films, and so he uses that to get attention for something.
Okay, never mind. It was malintent. Yeah. Take that back. That's a straight chat.
He he went on to praise Martin Scorsese as a director, calling him one of the greatest filmmakers who ever existed.
So Scorsese and Gunn at the Octagon win. Mm-hmm. That's what I want to know. I want to see a fight happen between the both of them.
Oh, and then this is another thing to mention. When did
show.
James Gunn get all white, like
haired?
Hair white.
He looks like he aged like 20 years.
Aged 20 years in a span of a year.
I don't know if
Have you
that's
seen how he looks
photo.
lately?
It's so funny because you see all of the, like him filming this movie, and like those documentaries and everything like that, and he literally has dark hair.
Yeah.
He looks like James Gunn.
Like we
And
literally
then-
saw him last year on DC Fandom.
There's no way he went full
yeah,
like
and he
off
was
the grid.
yeah.
Within a span of a year.
Yeah.
Maybe
That's
really-
the thing is that they
It's
say
like he became president for some reason. Like you see,
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah, like when you see a
4 years down the line, they have
Yeah.
white hair
There's
and like
wrinkles.
and everything.
Yeah, but no. But
Suicide
no.
Squad
Way of the country
killed him.
is-
I'm not.
just-
I'm not gonna lie. I feel like what happened was that he had like a couple of grays, and then he just went screw it. I'm going platinum.
But
Right? Yeah.
Like I'm just.
But it
I'm just
doesn't
gonna
look
go-
fake. That's another thing.
no,
too.
it looked like I'll
looks
put it this way:
natural.
he looks the same age but older at the same time.
Yeah.
It's the white hair.
Yeah, he doesn't look bad. He looks good.
He looks
Crazy.
good.
Yeah, he looks good.
Because it's
He's
all
pulling
white.
it off. Yeah.
So
It's all white. Maybe that's the stress of Guardians 3.
it's like
Marvel
gotta go back.
after Marvel copies. Oh god.
Oh god. Oh man, what are they gonna think? Oh boy. No, but is he right in this quote, or what do you guys think about what he had to say?
I do agree with him because whenever he was saying that before Irishman came out, and again everyone was kind of just saying, well, let's see what you did then, at that point, and it does feel like he is doing that just to market his film a little bit more.
Gunn basically said, "Okay, boomer, relax."
He called him out, but at the same time he goes, "But
he's a good director.
I love your films. You're a very good director. He probably inspired him in the past with his films and stuff like that."
I think that Scorsese probably did. I think he got the question because these questions. It's not like people just bombard you with a question.
No.
During an interview, like you get the question prior, and I honestly do think he knew I'm gonna get press if I say this. I'm gonna get press, no matter what. Like I'm gonna get press. They're gonna talk about The Irishman. It's a win-win. Is he right? I don't feel like that.
That Gunn's right?
No, that Scorsese's right. I don't feel like he's right for the most part, but I do see where he's coming from, though.
So the way I see this is kind of like Gunn understands the influence that Scorsese has on the film industry.
Yeah.
Right.
But also kind of wants to call out Scorsese for, downplaying the progression of films.
Yeah.
Because like when you look at old filmmakers, again, for me, my top three, Ridley Scott, Edgar Wright, Taika Waititi. Oldest one of them is Ridley Scott. And when you look at, for me, Ridley Scott, if I think of him, Alien is the first movie that comes to mind. Right. Blade Runner, sure, but Alien because it's my favorite movie of all time. Ridley Scott loves to tell his stories with set design. That has been his, status quo for years. Even with The Martian, he did that, right?
The sets are always beautiful.
The sets are beautiful and they tell most of the story.
Right.
Ridley Scott is an old-fashioned director, and I think that's why he got a lot of hate for Alien Covenant. The way he told the story there was very old school.
It's also a bad movie.
It's a great movie.
It's a terrible movie.
It's a great movie. You shut your mouth.
That movie's boring.
Shut up.
Which movie again?
Alien Covenant.
Oh, okay.
That movie's terrible.
Shut up.
You think that movie makes sense?
Yes. Anyways, so he.
Okay, yeah.
You think that's a good movie?
We don't have time for you, Nick.
Usually I would let this debate go, but we really don't have
No,
time.
I understand we don't have time. And we're gonna
After.
get to this.
Yeah, after.
And we're gonna get to this later. But I just want you to know you're
You're
wrong.
gonna hear from me afterwards. I might
Like,
not be back on the next podcast.
Don't.
So anyway, so Ridley Scott is an old director, but I can tell that he's only got a couple more years left. If he does decide to make another film, it might not even be as successful as like these other films from other directors, like Taika Waititi, Gunn, Wright. Who else am I thinking of? Christopher Nolan is another director. Like all these guys are leading industry directors, and it's not just guys. Patty Jenkins for Wonder Woman.
Yeah.
She's leading. These people are leading the industry in film because they're trying new things and they're adapting to the way things are working now.
Yeah.
Because I feel like, okay, without a comic book movie, I feel like Scorsese wouldn't have been able to make The Irishman.
Why?
The advancement in that in the face technology
I
is
guess.
primarily from the Avengers movies. They're primarily from these comic book movies that de-aged actors and have them give a performance. The entire Irishman is literally that. It's de-aging an actor and having him give a performance that's believable, and you believing that this is younger. That this is the younger version of the actor.
Did you see how he did it? Where basically he had like 3 cameras facing the actors, but he refused to have the tracking dots on his actors because he felt that would be distracting towards the acting for.
He's a
his
very
actors.
old school director,
Yeah.
and that's the thing is that you have to respect the craft.
But the thing is,
you
that-
have to.
But the problem is that I feel like he also didn't understand the technology.
That's the thing too.
Because if you watch The Irishman, there's a lot of moments where it doesn't match.
yeah,
There are
the
scenes-
CGI is really off.
The CGI is a little wonky. It
Mm-hmm.
looks like it doesn't match up. It looks like it looks like a mask
Mhm.
sometimes, and I feel like that's because the director
Mhm.
didn't understand the tech.
So when it comes to it, and let me put it to you this way, Tarantino is a firm believer of still using film.
Yeah.
The
Right.
Hateful Eight was filmed on film.
Yeah.
Yes,
Right?
But
But
you
you
can-
have a
that's a-
lot of directors moving towards digital
Mhm.
filmmaking.
Yeah.
That's what Gunn did on this one.
Exactly. And it looks fantastic because
Yeah.
you get more color, more vivid like photography. Like it just looks so much better. But if you have a director that understands the craft of old, right? Like Tarantino in film, you could make beautiful movies. And I think that Scorsese, when he made this comment, was just frustrated that more people were moving away from the old craft, going into this kind of new age of film, which is kind of saturated with superhero movies. There's nothing wrong with it. You can enjoy it. You can criticize it, do whatever you want, but the audience craves this kind of stuff at the moment. Who knows? Maybe 20 years down the line, it's not going to be superhero movies.
Yeah.
It might be something completely
No,
different.
I feel like eventually the superhero movies would go the way of the cowboy.
Yeah.
Eventually,
The westerns are out of the way. The superheroes are out of the way. It's going to be something else.
It'll be something else. When that happens, I'm not entirely too sure. I mean, we've been trying to make superhero movies since the late '80s. We have what's it called, like the Phantom, and we have like all these the Spirit, and we have all these other like comic books movies that are very early on. Conan the Barbarian,
Yeah.
They made a live action He-Man movie.
live action He-Man,
The Rocketeer.
Rocketeer. Like you have a lot of these like comic book heroes that. But the thing is that comic book heroes have been inside of they've been inside of the culture for so
Yeah.
long. I mean, heck, some of the comic books is what got some of our soldiers home. They entertained the soldiers while they were away at war. And, some of them, that was like a big thing for them, is that the new comic books are coming in or anything else. And, people of all generations have always loved superheroes. It's just a thing, like since the 20s. Like superheroes have been huge.
Yeah.
So that's why I feel like it's gonna be harder to kill off the superhero genre.
I don't think it'll kill off, but I think it will evolve. I think one of the major things, I'm going to predict it, maybe I'm right, because they've been trying to do live action anime movies for the longest time. Maybe the next kind of big thing will be a proper anime movie.
Could
live
be.
action.
That's the thing.
But the thing is that I feel that the reason why they can't make a proper animated anime movie, like Death Note, Full Metal Alchemist,
Ghost in the Shell.
Ghost in the Shell, is because for one, they don't understand the material.
Yeah.
Two, they don't understand. They try to cut. It's really hard when you have a series like Full Metal,
Yeah.
and then you're like, okay, cool, we're gonna try and cut an arc.
Oh, what was it? Akita
In-
Battle Angel too.
Yeah, we're gonna try and cut down an entire arc and put it into 2 hours, or an hour and a half.
Yeah.
How can we do this? That's really hard to do. Not only that, but also the reason why anime is so cool is because that it's animated. There are certain things that are just hyper realistic that could never happen inside of that could never happen in a real movie.
Yeah, especially how characters move around. A
Yeah.
lot. Yeah.
It's like having a live action Naruto movie.
Yeah.
Or anything else. It sounds better than it probably would be. And I feel that these are things that we eventually might have one. Honestly, that sounds pretty cool.
Akita Battle Angel wasn't that bad.
You know what? I feel like if you were to do a live action TV adaptation of an anime, that would be kind of sick.
One Piece. I'm just kidding. No way. That's
Oh,
too
no.
long.
I mean, I do.
We don't have time for
I do-
150 movies.
Thinking about that, I do believe, if anything, like you said, 20 years down the line, I think that will be the new
The new
movie
age.
craft where it's basically because we're getting directors now that have been comic book fans when they were kids.
They're getting
and now
influenced by this stuff now.
And they're getting influenced by it. And then you have this young generation now that are heavily into manga or anime in general. But we don't know, if those kids are going to go into film school and make their own thing. And they could.
Guillermo del Toro.
Yeah, he could.
Pacific Rim.
Mm-hmm. He could they could adapt certain aspects from animes or mangas into their films moving forward in the new generation of filmmakers to come in the years down the line.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so it could happen.
Can you see if you can log into my Facebook real quick?
I logged into mine and I have Andy ready to
give her
call.
a call. Give her a call. See what she says. We'll give her like 5 minutes. See if it
I
happens.
hope she answers the phone with an F word.
What do you want? Imagine she gets all mad. If she doesn't answer, we'll just end the show.
Yeah.
But it's also 12:30, like you said. So I don't know.
She could be passed out.
She
Yeah.
could be passed out.
I think she's passed out.
This sounds like a passed out person.
Sometimes she leaves her phone like far off, and then she's like, "Who's calling me now?"
Oh, who's calling me? Oh no, let me go get it. Oh,
I don't think she's gonna answer.
where's my phone?
No, I don't think so.
Where's my phone? No,
Give
no,
her
no.
2 more rings. Let's see if
Okay.
she does.
Oh, where's my darn phone? Is it underneath the pupusas?
Ah, that's fine. Whatever. We gave her a shot. We're gonna see where she was.
She
at.
had her chance.
She had her
She
chance.
had her
No, she
chance.
enjoyed the movie as well.
Yeah.
It's kind of weird to see kind of like because again she does like
Oh,
comic
she
book
just
movies.
got online right now. Should I call it again? She wasn't online before.
Call her. See what happens.
She just got online. Watch.
Let's see. Hello. She's like half asleep. You get 2 more rings. That's it. Oh.
Hello?
Hello.
Hello,
Oh, there you
Andy.
are.
Welcome to Keeping Up with the Nerds. You have got on their Power Hour. We want to know what are your thoughts on Suicide Squad?
That's actually pretty good. I was feeling like it was that prank call, like John Cena, like the Super Slam.
Super Slam. Yeah, I know. That's what I was going for.
All right, you got like 3 to 5 minutes, babe.
Oh,
What the heck?
Okay, cool.
I didn't even get 5
Well,
minutes.
I thought I thought it was fun actually. Like it was a movie that just kept you on your at least for me. Like it kept me on the edge of my seat, and I wanted to see what was gonna happen next. Although I already knew not to be, well, actually, are we doing spoilers or no spoilers?
Oh, we've spoiled this already.
We
yeah.
spoiled the hell out of this
So
thing.
I learned not to be attached to the character after like the beginning of the movie when everybody died. I'm like, okay, I can't attach myself to anybody here. But it was so fun. I thought it was so fun. I loved it.
Who was your favorite character?
I'll tell you, I didn't really have a favorite character.
Not even Sebastian? Not even little baby Joey?
Oh yeah, that's true. But I don't like really have like, oh, like that's my favorite. Not really. They were all pretty cool. Like I kind of like them almost equally. I guess you could say Sebastian had a little bit more, but
A little bit more what?
A little
Oh,
more
that I like
special stuff.
the best.
Because he's cute and adorable and stuff. Would you recommend this movie to people?
Yeah, it's a fun movie. Obviously not to kids. Definitely is an adult film. And yeah, like if we want to watch a fun like adventure, I guess superhero, quote unquote superhero movie, then yeah, I recommend it to people. It's a fun movie. It's cool.
What do you have to say, Nick? Because you're laughing over here. What do you have to say? No, you
That's
keep
fine.
laughing. And I'm like, what do you have to say?
It's fine.
Oh my god!
I'll tell you after.
No, because I think it's interesting to hear an opinion that because you're more into Marvel and stuff like that, and that's the stuff that we usually watch. So I think like what DC stuff, like you've never heard of any of these like characters like Bloodsport or Ratcatcher, Polka Dot Man, nothing like that, right?
Right, I have not.
So would you say that after this movie, last question before we let you go, you feel like you got to know these characters a little bit more with this movie?
I think so. Well, I don't know much about their background, but I mean, I guess.
They're interesting. All right, it's good enough.
Yeah.
All right, well, thank you. What, Nick? Just say it.
And Andy, that was the right answer. Now then, Rene, tell her what she's won.
Oh, you're throwing that on me now.
You're absolutely right. She gets Bryan to come home tonight.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, good.
With the wrong answer, he would have slept in his car.
Thanks, babe, for being on the show. We're going to
Thank
wrap
you.
it up over here, but thanks.
Thanks for having me.
All right, we'll
problem.
catch you in a bit. Bye.
Bye.
All right. Why you gotta
Is that
do
what you're
this?
laughing about, man?
All right, we got to wrap the show up. So just a quick reminder. I think we've all expressed an hour and a half worth of like Suicide Squad
Basically.
stuff. So are we pretty satisfied with everything we had to say? Yeah, you are. Shut up. With that said, guys, remember we do have a website, keepingupwiththenerds.com, where you can find all the information on the latest videos, podcasts, anything else that you want to know about us on there, updated frequently. Socials, Instagram and Twitter, Keeping Up With The Nerds. You guys can find us on there, and Rene does a good job at posting when certain episodes will go up on YouTube and audio platforms. If you're listening to this podcast on Spotify, Podbean, Apple Podcasts, or Google Podcasts, just know we do have a YouTube channel, Keeping Up With The Nerds. Subscribe, go like the video portions of the podcast. We will be posting up more content on there as well, so keep a lookout on that. And if you're listening to this on Apple Podcasts, leave a review. Give us 5 stars if you guys like what you guys saw. Or, come and visit the store at Undercity Comics in Uptown Whittier if you're around the area.
And not to mention that when this airs, it will be Wednesday. So of that, on Saturday, guys, here at Undercity Comics will be Free Comic Book Day. So just come down around 9 or 10 o'clock. We'll open early, and we'll have some comics here that you guys can come and pick up. Also, a sale on top of that where everything in the store, all of our comic books, trades, and current back issues will be 50% off, and anything that is not a comic book is 20% off.
Ooh.
You can also come and pick up Rene.
I will be 100% off.
Lies, because you'll be working.
Yes.
So you're not off.
He's not talking about himself.
Oh.
He's talking about them clothes.
And with that said, we're going to wrap this issue up. Thank you guys for watching or listening to issue number 59. Nick, take it away.
This has been Keeping Up With The Nerds, issue 59. My name is Nick Valero.
This is Bryan.
Rene. Recording at Undercity Comics in Whittier, California. We want to thank everyone for listening to this issue and hope to see you all